You're listening to the Ballet Piano Podcast, lifting the lid on dance accompaniment.
Hello, listeners and viewers. Welcome back to this episode of the Ballet Piano Podcast. My name is Chris Hobson, and around the table with me, as always, is Akiko Hobson.
Hello.
Matt Gregory.
Hi, everyone.
David Yao.
Hello, everybody.
And a very sick baby Hazel.
Aww.
So if you hear the odd, yeah, that's where that is coming from.
Yes.
Or the bubbles on our kitchen table. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about specific requests, because specific requests happen often during a ballet class, don't they? So, you might have a teacher setting an exercise and they'll sing something and they go, oh, it's something like Cavalleria Rusticana, it's something like that. Or just, Madame Butterfly, just give me a little bit of that. And they're just singing it for themselves, but not always. Sometimes teachers want specific things, don't they, Matt?
Why don't you ask the teacher?
I don't know. Well, actually, yeah, that's a good point, David. Do teachers want specific things sometimes?
Well, I will just add on to that sometimes you're not always just going to get a march or a waltz or a tango or something that's pretty standard. Sometimes teachers have different time signatures in mind, for a specific purpose, which is completely valid.
Yeah.
And we should be able to, provide, appropriate music.
Yeah. Something churchy, for example.
Yeah.
Which I was asked for that yesterday.
Yeah, I had something. Oh, can you play something spacey?
What's that mean?
How high did you have to get to do that?
What spacey, like a space?
Like outer space.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like Star Wars?
The Final Frontier.
Yay.
Maybe 2000, what was it?
2001 A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, that was a few years ago.
Not a Space Oddity.
Dun, 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 dun.
The thing is, it's very nice if you have a very knowledgeable pianist that can play the tunes that the said tunes that you want. But often for teachers, yes, as Matt said, if you sing your tune, but you get a different song or something from it, listen carefully, because often you'll get a better outcome than if somebody's trying to cobble a tune that they don't know together.
Yeah.
Because your pianist is that good. But you've got to trust them that they'll give you what you want, but maybe not exactly what you want, but the kind of feeling that you want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you've got to be open.
Absolutely.
As a teacher to have...
Raymond Chai famously said of John Sweeney, he doesn't give me what I want. He gives me what I need.
There you go. That's absolutely fabulous.
Yeah. I didn't know I needed it till I got
exactly
it.
Exactly that.
It was Raymond who asked me for something churchy yesterday.
And spacey a few years ago.
I've also had Philip Glassy.
Oh, yeah.
It's just something like Philip Glassy.
Oh, right.
But I like playing for Raymond. I enjoy Raymond a lot because he's a ledge. So Raymond, hello, and I'll see you tomorrow.
So, David, what specific requests have you had? Anything that you would consider, out of the box, or
a lot of the time, if I have let's say a Cecchetti adage in my head, I'll sing that tune, but I don't necessarily want that tune, but that's the one that I associate with that exercise, shall we say. But oftentimes, most times, the pianist who I'm with will give me something even better, which is really good, because it pulls me out of that little box as well, because that's not good for teachers either. But maybe that's the tune that or you associate with whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You take things from a little section from a ballet and you just sing that tune from the ballet. But your pianist, if you trust them well and just describe what you want, will give you something better. Often will give you something better.
But that's quite nice that, you're open to that.
Yeah.
But there's some teachers I'm sure you guys came across that they actually want that specific music, nothing else. And then if we don't know it, we're stuck because, okay, we understand, we can provide something similar, but I don't know this tune.
Yes.
But they want this tune. And then it's a bit difficult.
That falls on the teacher then. Well, if your pianist doesn't know that tune, then you're stuck, aren't you? Unless you actually open your ears and open your mind.
Yeah, and be adaptable slightly.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Cecchetti ones are funny because I know, I played for you hundreds and hundreds of classes, but some of the Cecchetti stuff, I just instantly go to it. I don't know if it's because I associate the music and the choreography, but it's some of the Cecchetti exercises are so choreographed to the music.
Yeah.
It's literally to the hemi-demi semi-quaver, some of it, isn't it? You know, there's an extra big chord at the end, which I know you are so good at being adaptable, saying it doesn't have to be that music. It's like, but I haven't got anything else in my head that I could play for this. This is the only thing I've got.
But they did choose well when they put the syllabus things together.
Well, because Anita uses that Chopin prelude in C minor because that's in the Cecchetti, but she wants that big chord at the end because it's in the exercise. It's like a little a fouette to arabesque, isn't it? And it's in the exercise. So obviously, I have on the iPad, big chord mark.
Is that the fouette of adage exercise from memory? My God, David, you've ruined me.
But shout out to Ross Ali, lovely pianist as well. He helped put lots of the tunes and the syllabus together. But we're just blessed with very, very good pianists, very good musicians. So,
And going back to what you said a moment ago about not having the tune, with the beauty of the iPad or having a Scribd subscription or whatever, if I'm quick enough to find it, I'll quickly grab it.
Yeah.
If it's sight readable, I'll sight read it.
That is the benefit of the iPad in
amazing.
2024.
And then if I think, this teacher will want this in 2 days' time, I'll quickly just learn it for 2 days' time. So by the end of the week, I've pretty much got the tunes that they've been singing all week. In a couple of days, the playlist is there, sort of thing, pretty much.
We were at the the lovely RAD studios the other day, and we had this fantastic pianist who comes to play for us, Isaac, and he didn't have a solo that we were wanting to do a variation of, and within seconds he had it on the internet, and he was transcribing it, and within minutes he got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how fantastic.
You see,
our
that's why we
musicians
need
are.
the Wi-Fi access, don't we?
Oh, yes.
Any
we need
building
the
we go,
Wi-Fi.
It's
we
not
need
just
the
for
Wi-Fi.
planning a wedding. Wi-Fi is not just for weddings. But yeah, David, I think you are one of those teachers that you are a dream and kissing your ass, I know, as always. But because you are adaptable and you will adapt, you've got something set in your head. And we used to do it when we worked together, even for assessment classes. Like if I was your pianist for the assessments, I was like, but you don't have me for 3 days. That's fine. It doesn't matter. I'll just tell the pianist it's this and that. And then so that adaptability just makes a class as well, doesn't it? And it makes it an easier process, I think, for you, for the students,
everybody.
for the dancers and for the pianists.
Yeah.
So talking about specific music, I once had a teacher who sang, Coppelia variation, dan dan da da dum bum bum ba da dum, for point work, and it was quite specific. So I said, okay, well, I thought it's better to play just this tune. Just to see, and then maybe second group I can change something, but it was quite specific. So I decided to play. But so the teacher marked whatever dun 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 jump dun 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 kind of exercise, and then here I am playing the introduction, and I don't know if David you understand, but when we see the sheet music as a musician, it's written like so. If it was an introduction, 1 and 2 and 3 and dun, 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 dun.
The tune happens before beat one.
So, but the teacher actually choreographed as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and
Right.
I played on the upbeat as musician would agree. And then it caused so much misunderstanding. So they got so confused.
Yeah.
And then I tried to play that on the one, which is very uncomfortable for me.
Yes.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1
Dun, dun,
and 2
dun, dun, dun.
and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2.
Yeah, it was. So I ended up just improvising something and then just settled fine. But something like this, it is a specific tune, but it's a bit, it's difficult.
But
I had a similar situation last year somewhere in London, and it was somebody had choreographed. I can't remember what it was. It might have been a pirouette or something like that. And it was the opening waltz from Coppelius von Hilda's. Matt knows the story. And so
the
choreography goes. She said, "Step and go, step and go, step and go and go." So I was like, "Okay, right, perfect. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and da da da." So you've missed a beat out. So, no, I haven't.
It's the same thing. The tune
The
starts,
tune starts
on the upbeat.
So instead, she got 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a da 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 da.
Is that like fingers on a chalkboard for you guys?
A little bit.
It was, but it was so funny. I was howling, laughing, doing it, and sort of nobody knew why I was, completely. The noise has gone, ladies and gentlemen. It was really funny, but I was like, do you know what? If it's what the exercise needs, it was a training exercise. It wasn't an exercise that was being done for artistic integrity. It was just literally a training exercise.
It's quite unnatural to feel it like that, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know. I've also heard what's the dun 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 dun.
Oh yes,
that variation, silver variation. I always get them confused. There's too many of them in Sleeping Beauty. But I've had that as well. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I've heard some pianists play it like that just because that.
Well, for an exercise,
yeah,
not
just
for the rep.
not for the rep, just for the exercise, just to make it fit.
It's just so difficult to get my head around.
Especially if you've been playing the variations for years.
Yeah.
And then someone wants you to replace the accent and the bar line.
Yeah.
With that, I struggle with the bit in Nutcracker, the F major 6/8, because it goes 1 2 1 2 1 2 1. So that starts on the upbeat.
Right.
But a lot of 6/8 are like this.
Yeah.
No, Napoli is the same.
So
1 2 3 4 5 dun 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 dun
Yeah,
dun, dun, dun,
the tarantella.
dun, dun, dun,
Yeah. But if you're playing that in a rehearsal, especially if you've not played it that much, and then the ballet master is then shouting 1 2 1 2, but in your head you're going 2 1 2 1. It's like two bulls butting heads in your head.
But didn't you have the other day in the class that, a bit of Swan Lake?
Oh no, that was for a teacher who shall remain nameless.
Oh, I had the same teacher with the
You
bit of
did.
Swan Lake.
Did you
Yes.
We'll have the 9/8 and then the Swan Lake on the end.
How did you know which bit of Swan Lake you had to play?
It's the big tune.
I guessed it was the theme,
Yeah.
dun, da, 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 dun,
It
da,
was.
dun. And the 9/8 I think was from Sylphide. La Sylphide, I think it was.
Ballet mashup.
It really, two composers that never went on a date together. But I screwed that one up because I'd played it. I think it's in the old RAD syllabus, the 9/8 as a triple jig, and it was written in G major. So I got it in my 4 score on the iPad. I got it open. I was like, perfect, here we go. And I hadn't paid a lot of attention. I keep killing Matt off every time I tell a story.
Still got a
sorry,
very
love.
tickly cough from the winter.
But when I was like, okay, perfect. It starts on the D. Forgetting it actually doesn't. It starts on the 3rd, not the 5th of the scale. So I played it in G major, but everything was a 3rd up and complete. The teacher looked at me and she said, but it works really well on the 9/8. Bear with me, second side, love, it's coming. Yeah, dealing with the specific request, it can be tricky a little bit. Can't it? If a teacher's got something in the mind,
Or if
that.
the pianist just doesn't have that tunes
Yeah.
or limited repertoire, or let's say someone really wants tunes and they get a pianist who's an improviser
Yeah.
who won't play any tunes. Sometimes I don't have everything. I'm sure we all don't have every single tune.
No.
You have to find something that is most like it. Either the tune is similar or the rhythm or the feel. And actually with said teacher, she'll say to me, oh, that's perfect. That's better than what I'm singing.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then that my tune becomes the tune for that exercise.
Yeah.
But that teacher then still sings the old stuff, doesn't she?
But then she sings the old
Yeah.
stuff
She
as
knows.
well. Yeah.
But I think actually, as a pianist, though, to increase your repertoire, that's sort of been an ongoing thread a little bit throughout this year, is how you increase stuff. I think because I've seen a lot of that on the Facebook groups and things like that about how do you
Yeah.
increase your repertoire. Is that if a teacher sings something, if you don't know it, I don't mind going up and saying to the teacher, "I'm sorry, what aria?"
Yeah.
What opera is that aria from? Because I've
Absolutely.
heard you sing it twice, and
Yeah.
I want to be able to play that for you. And then so like pianists being receptive to new
Yeah.
repertoire ideas as
I
well.
do that all the time.
You know, my standards are very low. I don't mind saying that my knowledge is relatively limited, and it's niche.
Your knowledge
my
of what?
Life.
Because I was going to say, if your music knowledge is limited,
Yeah, but you know, like,
say,
we all have our specialities, don't we? So
Yeah.
I don't mind going up to teachers and I say, "What was that? I don't know that." And it could be from a ballet that I don't know. It could be from
Yeah.
like one of the one-act Ashton ballets that
Yeah.
I just happen not to know the fifth birthday offering variation or something.
Yeah,
Like that. I say,
yeah.
What was that? Let me know, and then I can get it ready for you tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's a good way of increasing that rep.
and actually, for me, it's introduced a lot more tunes
Yeah.
into my rep.
And it makes it fun actually as well, doesn't
Yeah.
it, to keep increasing the rep, and then you can listen back to the episode that's already gone out a few weeks ago, which is then ruining that repertoire that you've just learned and playing it for everything. But I mean, like, have you had an absolute shocker where a teacher said, "No, I want this piece of music"? Because I don't know, I can't think of any, certainly not within the last 10 or 15 years, that I've not been able to sort of
think
get out
I've-
of jail for.
I think I've always had a suitable alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, like said teacher, she did a point exercise and it was based on Aurora's Act 1 solo.
Yeah.
And the music's like quite sparse, it's really spaced out, really slow 6/8. Almost adagio.
Yeah.
And I found the dots for that bit and I played it, but it was just like too
Da-dum,
spaced out. It felt like
Yeah.
exactly that one. And it felt like it needed filling in. So I thought, okay, I'll keep this meter time signature feel, but just play something else similar and fill it in a bit more. So that's what I did. And then alternated with actually playing that tune.
Right.
So at least she heard it a couple
Yeah.
of times.
I had not the specific tune, but specific requirement of how to play for her class with one teacher.
Oh, yeah. So I've got story.
She wanted to meet me before the class, and she said, "I want everything simple,
Right.
simple, simple." And I didn't quite understand what simple means, but you know, as a ballet pianist, you just say yes. And then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then basically I start playing. It was okay, but basically she didn't want to have a very loud sound. So even like when the music goes a little bit exciting and goes to climax, and if I try to play crescendo or something like this, she would go, shh.
So you weren't allowed to climax in class?
No, I wasn't allowed. So everything had to be, it's almost like silence.
Like background spa music.
Mezzo
And then
piano
she
was the
just
limit.
wanted
Yeah.
the accent on the bits that she wanted the accent, nothing more.
Wow.
So it actually limited what I can do, but that's what she wants. So I had to just keep a close eye on her to make sure that, you know, which accent she wants a note. But
And so was that a good thing that she said, can I meet you before class?
well,
It's better to do it before than in the studio, I suppose, just
It-
before you're about to play.
it was great that she warned me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was gonna just play Furon Plie,
Yeah,
and then she'd
yeah.
probably get very annoyed with me.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I was aware with
And
this.
I would say there's nothing wrong with having those conversations.
I think it's good.
If the
Yeah.
teacher has some, or sometimes the teacher come up to me and say, "Oh, have you got a 5/4?"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "I've got several." You know, because they think
You
it's
should see
gonna-
what I've got in my arsenal.
Well, exactly, in my arse, because they think it might throw you.
yeah. No,
so,
it's
that,
good.
so they want to prepare you for those things that are a bit off the wall,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is the best thing. You know, we'd
Yes.
advise teachers to
Forewarned.
do that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But the same with you. I had a teacher come up to me at the start of class and say, I like my first exercise really slow and really quiet and like not too much fuss in the music. which is fine. And I thought I was playing slow and it was too quick. So even slower, you know, and I don't like this for class and I don't like that. Like, I don't like jazz or I don't like these tunes. Sometimes teachers say that.
Yeah, but it's better to know in advance.
It's better to know, and then I can just, I've you know, be fully prepped.
Especially when you close, like certainly like the three of us are, you can sort of like, if you're playing for a teacher, you go like, wait for the adage, it's always 3.5 lots of 8 or something like that. You know, some teachers just have their signature thing and then you know. And especially like if you're an accomplished pianist, sometimes a teacher won't tell you that it's only 3 lots of 8 or it's 3 lots of 8 with a 4 count balance on the end, and then you go to the second side.
Yeah.
So if the teacher doesn't tell you, it's good to know from your mate at least to be aware of it or something like that. Or so it's like if you work in an institution, so if you work in at some ballet, some ballet establishment or institution, like sharing these things as well is paramount. Like when Akiko and I worked together in the Western Hemisphere, we'd often be messaging each other and say, this is going to happen to you in the class tomorrow because this is what's been set today. And it was really good to know that.
And we do that with each other with guest teachers at the company.
Yeah.
Oh, such a body doesn't like this, or they like a lot of 2/4s for this or something.
Get your marches ready for the Grand Allegro.
That's the one.
Most teachers aren't aware of that at all. They don't know that this all goes on behind.
Yeah. And it sounds
lucky.
like obituary. It's not obituary, and it's not derogatory. It's almost like because you don't want to be caught short.
Absolutely.
And I often think like if I'm telling you something, Matt, or Akiko's telling me something, it's like I know that I would want to know this information in advance, because it's going to make my life in the studio easier. Because I want to go to the studio and have a good time. I don't want to go there for stress. If I wanted stress, I'd still have a full-time job. I don't want stress anymore. I just want to go to the studio, have some fun, play some TBT tunes, make people laugh, have a sing-along, and then leave.
And some pianists don't like the first date nerves thing of a guest teacher or a new teacher, so they want to be fully prepped.
Yeah.
And that must be the same for you. If you know you've got a pianist coming to school who's brand new, and a teacher had them the day before, they might say to you, oh, they're good, or they play this, they play that, or, it must sort of work.
Or ask the pianist for this. You've got, this is great with them. They're a little bit, they don't know all the ballet repertoire, but if you stick with operatic repertoire or classical repertoire or Oasis from the 90s, that's great.
But you can always help your pianist, especially if you don't know them, because you don't know what they're good at and what they favour. So just ask them as a teacher, okay, there are lots of times when I come off the bar and say, okay, I'm going to do Port de Bras, just play something. And I don't specify what it is, what time signature or anything. And I just listen and really do spend the time listening to what your pianist is trying to give you.
Yeah. This goes back to the start of the episode, David, when you once asked me to play you something for a Port de Bras, and I gave you a 5/4 for a Port de Bras.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I was like, is that okay?
It was brilliant. Because you never know what's going to happen.
I love David's 5/4 plie.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It just helps get people out of their comfort zones.
Yeah.
And that's important. So they listen, they open their ears and they listen.
Defo. Right. I think we've done that justice.
Yeah, totally.
and with a sick baby on the left-hand side.
Did really well.
Yeah. I think
she's smiling a bit.
She's done all right. Yes. So for now, it's going to be goodbye from me.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.